Hello and welcome to Washington Exec's video series. I'm senior reporter Rachel Kirkland, and I am joined by two individuals from Avantus Federal who are here to talk about the company's diversity and inclusion efforts. I'd like to welcome Lenaye Willis Lloyd, who is Vice President of Contract Operations. Welcome, Lenaye.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Pleasure to have you. And I'd like to welcome Program Manager Kim Easterling. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Rachel.
Nice to have you. To get us started, can you both talk about what your role is regarding DEI at Avantus and why that role is important to you?
Okay, I'll start first. So my role right now is as a co-lead with Lenaye. We both are we train on how we want to attack the DEI efforts for Avantus Federal. And we try to come at it from different angles. So Lenaye from the corporate standpoint and myself from the client delivery standpoint, as the mindset can sometimes be different. And then why it's important to me, or how I got to this position. It's really from my experience in working with the government and trying to help them maintain their diverse practices so they can bring in diverse individuals. And when it comes to diversity, it's more than just what we normally people think of, like male, female, race. Diversity is also neurodiverse, and understanding how to interact and how to utilize those skill sets in the best way possible to get a truly diverse team.
Excellent points. Lenaye, what would you add to that?
Well, I think that Kim and I really kind of share a brain around the criticality of diversity, equity, and inclusion and its purpose. And so we really come to this as kind of strategy leaders. We're advising, we're advocating, we're acting as catalysts for change. And we really want diversity, equity, and inclusion to be kind of woven into the fabric of our entire enterprise. And so for me, it's also personal. I have parents. I'm very proud to be a daughter of parents who were active during the civil rights movement. And my uncle was the first Black graduate of the University of Virginia in 1962. And so I am so thankful for that legacy that they've given to me, but also really aware that they recognize that we were sort of complete and complex and so on, and actors in our own lives. And so I really come to this work from a prism of my own identity, but the layers of identity and the ability to see the impact of what it ultimately means.
Absolutely. Yes, Kim, can you tell us a little bit about Avantus's DEI program?
So from Avantus standpoint, the DEI program has been trying to get involved with all parts of the corporation. So it's not just like DEI stands alone. We want to make sure that we have information from our human resources, from our recruiting, from our integrated talent management group, marketing communications, and our ERGs. So we want to make sure that it's woven into all of those normal or typical corporate initiatives so we can radiate out. So it's a matter of not being separate and on our own, but being within each of those areas so we can make sure we touch all of our employees, both internal corporate and external client facing.
That makes a lot of sense. And what are you seeing there, Lenaye?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Kim has nailed it. We really allowed our priority areas to be driven by our employees. And so I think that's been, so when we talk about HR, recruiting, and our integrated talent management, it really is a reflection of what's important to our employees. And we think that that's important for the long-term success of the program. We've got smart, talented folks here at Avantus, and we want to be able to kind of leverage their ideas and help that shape our program, and to have it be focused on sort of those mission critical, people-focused parts of our business.
Absolutely. And what are your DEI goals for this year?
Well, I will start there, but I think it's that, we are recognizing that we want to move really more from a conceptual framework to aligning it to our long-term strategy. So we were really fortunate as an organization to work with an outside partner to help sort of lead that strategy, right? And 40 of us came together for a 3-day session and really focused on 4 strategic pillars around culture, marketplace, leadership, and talent. And so for us, that really helped us to hone in on what we want to do for 2021. But at the same time, we want to double down on what we've been doing already. So we never think we're starting from scratch, but we also recognize that this is such an important moment where we get to kind of build out, deepen our relationships with kind of outside partners, strategic partnerships, also use it as an opportunity to have diversity, equity, inclusion be a part of our leadership competencies. This is what it takes to be a leader at this company, is to embrace those principles.
It sounds like you're doing a lot of work in this area.
We've been really fortunate, I think, as a company. Kim and I are certainly sort of out in the forefront, but this has been such a corporate, not just a corporate, I should say, it's been a enterprise-wide effort. And we've done that strategically, we've done that on purpose, we've done that to ensure that we're taking into account the work across our entire industry, the fact that they have different clients, that they have slightly different missions, and then to take into account the sort of the work that we're doing and with our HR teams and our talent acquisition teams to be able to have a more comprehensive view.
Well, I want to ask you, what small steps would you encourage others in your industry to take to just improve their DEI efforts?
I'll start. So I believe, actually, Rachel, the small steps are just to understand where you are right now. So for Avantus, we have our core values of earn eminence, act with purpose, inspire yourself, stay humble, and embrace diversity. So we understand who we are, and then also want to understand who we want to be in the future. So it's important to understand those two things and then take the small steps towards that. So make sure you're meeting your core values, that you're understanding where you want to be.
That makes a lot of sense. Lenaye, any last thoughts before we close out?
Yeah, I think also as a mid-tier company, we have such an opportunity to kind of represent a different model. Again, Kim and I are doing this together as co-leads, but we also have sort of a small army who are also dedicated resources to kind of help advance diversity, equity, inclusion here at Avantus Federal. And so I always say we never go wrong when we stay focused on our core values, when we aren't distracted by kind of a lot of the noise. These are very complex issues. And so you've got to really look inward and think about sort of like who you want to be as an organization. And so I think we've been able to achieve that in a way that makes sense. Like I said, for kind of our place in the market, we can be very agile in terms of our response. When we think something is working, we double down on that. When we think we need to be reflective and maybe pull back in a particular area, we've been able to do that. So I think it's been quite the journey, but I think it's also been so important for us in terms of this next stage of our growth and development.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for both sharing your thoughts and for joining me today. Take care.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.